Welcome to another edition of Living Legacies. I'm Tom Morrow, your host, and today we have as our guest Rosemary Jones, the city treasurer of Oceanside, and a very popular lady around town. Rosemary,
hi.
Thank you for coming in and chatting with us today.
Well, thank you for asking me.
Now, you grew up in you were born in Oxnard, but you really grew up in the San Gabriel Valley.
I left Oxnard almost immediately, in San Gabriel Valley, yeah, in Alhambra, and San Gabriel.
Now, tell me how you got to San Gabriel.
With my parents.
Yeah. But now you were telling me about a nice ride that you made on the old Red Line, which is,
yeah,
a lot of people will remember that was the big metro system in Los Angeles.
Definitely. I don't know why they ever took it out, but anyway.
I think General Motors and Goodyear had something to do with it.
Yes, they had a lot to do with it, I'm sure. But anyway, my mother. The Children's Home Society notified her that I was available and she'd come and pick me up. So she got on the red car because my dad was out on town on business, picked me up and brought me back home to Alhambra. And the miracle part about that is the woman had terrible motion sickness, and how she ever made it to Los Angeles and back with me without barfing all over the place, I'll never know, but she was such a beautiful lady, and she did it. So when my dad came home from his trip, there I was.
Now, how old were you when they adopted
10 days.
You? 10 days? Okay. Now, you have a younger brother?
Yes, I have. 5 years later, they decided they needed to adopt another child, so they adopted my brother.
Now, this is a picture of you and your brother,
yes.
And I'm not going to ask what year it is, but how old were you in that picture?
I was probably, I was probably 6 and a half, 7 years old.
Yeah. Okay.
And of course, he was absolutely adorable.
I was going to say, we decided that he had the better hairdo.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
I hated him.
Now, where did you go to school?
I went to Roosevelt, Alhambra High, and then Alhambra Business College.
Now, there's somebody here in town that you went to Roosevelt School with.
One day when Lynn Gardner and I were talking, and he said something, I don't know what came out about being in San Gabriel and everything, and so next time I saw him, he had a picture sitting on the steps at Roosevelt Grammar School, where I had gone also. Of course, he's a little younger than I. He looks older, but he's younger than I.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you were growing up there, what did your folks do? What kind of work did you do?
Mother was the housewife, and she took care of marvelous cook. She took care of a terrific housewife.
Which is very common in those days.
Oh, yeah. The women didn't work. And
they didn't get paid.
They worked at home.
They didn't get paid.
They probably worked harder than they would have if they had gone out to work, because she was very, very good. My father worked for a multimillionaire by the name of W.L. Valentine, who owned his own oil company, Fullerton, and he worked with him as he managed a whole lot of things from him, and that's how he got started going to Mammoth Lakes in 1917 to Valentine's Camp.
And so they went. Your father managed this Valentine's.
Yes. Yeah. Some of his affairs.
That's what you got to spend the summers up around the.
I did later in life, not real early in life. A little bit later in my life, after I was in my early teens, we spent a lot of time up there.
Now this picture of you in front of the cabin, is this at Mammoth? This is your parents' cabin at Mammoth Lake?
Yes. Yes, they bought some property. They bought on a tax sale about 1.25 acres of property for about $300 and some bucks. And so they
do that today
with a stream and the whole thing, on the old Mammoth Road. And so they built 2 houses, and the first one was a cabin, and the next one was a much more refined one.
You look like you were probably a senior in high school, or maybe out of high school.
That's right. I was having a ball.
Now, you graduated from high school in 19...
Yeah. Glad you mentioned that.
It was before the war, right?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you want to be when you got out of high school?
Well, my intention was to be a nurse, but because of my ability to master Latin, I didn't get the grade that I needed to get into college.
Well, that's kind of an interesting point, because a lot of young people today that think about going into nursing, they probably would know what that was all about. Explain why Latin was important.
Well, Latin was important because all the prescriptions were written in Latin, and it just was part of the,
Now they just they, instead of doctors writing it in Latin, they just write it so you can't read it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, okay.
It's not much an improvement.
Okay. No, you married your high school sweetheart, and and you this picture of you and your son Stephen.
Yeah, Stephen. Mm-hmm.
And that's what, about 1947, 48?
48. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. He's also adopted.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. Yeah, he's adopted.
What does he do today?
He works for a company in Oregon where they put up setups and store. He works for a big hardware chain. Mm-hmm.
But now, again, you're back and you're staying in the San Gabriel Valley. This is where you're.
Yeah.
During the war, you had said that you worked as an assistant manager for Safeway
in Alhambra.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then, you worked for various different companies.
Small, piddly companies.
But your main career has been bookkeeping, right?
Bookkeeping, always, yeah.
Now
and I took a few years off when Steve was growing up. Mm-hmm. And I belonged to the Junior Women's Club and the Women's Club in Temple City and the Chamber and all those things.
Where's Temple City? Temple
City is south of Arcadia, east of San Gabriel. It's right in that San Gabriel, Temple City, Arcadia. They're all in a little nest there.
Up there by the Santa Anita racetrack.
By Santa Anita racetrack. Amen.
You mean you spent a little time there?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's see. This picture is of Stephen when he's all. Looks like he's all grown up there.
Let me see what you got. That was when that was his wedding.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I guess he is
we forgot the bride.
Okay.
And later she forgot him, so it worked out all right.
Oh, okay. Now, somewhere along the way, you divorced and you were single for a while, and then you met another man.
Yes.
Tell me about your second husband.
Well, second husband was a delightful gentleman. He was a widower, and he had 3 grown children also. Well, grown to one was married, and the other 2 were still home. And I had worked with him in the community and always admired him and respected him, and we really had a nice friendship. And eventually it just turned into be more than a friendship. Mm-hmm. And so we finally got married in, I think it was 62, 63. And I took my 15-year-old and put him in the household with a 15 and a 19-year-old who was just starting college. And I was a dreamer. I thought this was just going to be ideal. I loved this man so much, everything was going to be fine. Well, wrong. But it did work out beautifully, and I have...
Eventually, anyway.
Yes. I have the respect and love of his children and mine.
That's
and
great.
They're just great kids. They're just wonderful.
Now, he was a sheriff's deputy?
Yeah, he was a sheriff's deputy.
What county was it?
L.A. County.
After you both retired, you had been coming to Oceanside for several years.
6.5 years every weekend to the boat.
You had a boat at the Oceanside Harbor.
Yeah, L13.
So that's what when you decided to retire. This is where you wanted to be.
Yeah.
So you moved to Oceanside what year?
73. Never looked back.
Now, for the first few years you were here, it was kind of fun and games. You were retired.
It was fun and games. We traveled. We spent a month in Germany, and we went to Hong Kong, and we went to Hawaii, and we fished a lot in Mexico. We were both avid fishermen, and so we fished a lot in Mexico.
Now, you one of the benchmarks in your life was your husband passed, and you decided what you were going to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I wandered around for about 3 months, and then I decided I was a survivor, and I had to continue my life. Mm-hmm. I had a family, and they expected me to pull myself up by the bootstraps and go on. And I did.
Now, what you became a member of the Professional Businesswomen's?
Yeah, Oceanside Business and Professional Women. I had been a member in Temple City and been president and gone through all that up there. Mm-hmm. So it was an organization that I was familiar with.
How did you get involved in politics?
I don't really know, Tom, just exactly how I did, except when when Irene retired as city clerk.
Irene
Duran retired as city clerk.
This would have been what, back in the early
1980.
1980. Okay.
Barbara, it wasn't Wayne then. It was
Regal.
I don't think it was even Smith.
It was Barbara.
It was Barbara. But anyway,
it's our Barbara Wayne.
Yeah, she ran, and I ran against her, which, and of course she won, thank God, as I've said this many times before. But I did form what I consider a very special friendship.
Now, that, when you said that, I thought it was kind of unusual, because usually when people run against each other in a political race, it's kind of like anything else. It's kind of like going to war, and you would have thought that this would not have been a friendship after the ballots were counted. But you and her are very close.
We were very friendly even during the thing. We just. I have a good sense of humor. She does too, and we just hung out together through it.
So now Barbara continued as city clerk, and then in '92 you made another run, but for this time as treasurer.
Yes, Irene Duran once again.
She's on the scene.
Was on the scene. She retired as city treasurer because she'd been appointed by the city council and had also run 1 year on her own. Mm-hmm. So she wanted to retire again. So
these have always been.
These are people that I had known for years.
But these were elected. These have always been elected offices.
Yes.
Okay.
Always.
So
and
now,
I hope Oceanside never changes that.
Well, in '92, you were elected as treasurer.
City treasurer.
And we've got a picture of you here holding your certificate.
Well, that's about 4 years after, because one of the organizations that a lot of city treasurers belong to is called California Municipal Treasurers Association. Mm-hmm. And to get that certificate, you have to spend so many years in the job, be able to go to so many classes, so many education goes into it, and there's a lot of factors that go in it to get.
So unlike a lot of elected offices, you have to know a little something to get this
do this job. You should.
Well, tell me why.
Just a little bit. Not too much, just a little, because I've got wonderful help.
You mentioned a few minutes ago that they should never change that from being elected office, and give me your thoughts on that. Why should this always be an elected office?
Well, in my opinion, if you're an elected official, you have a lot more say-so in what goes on in your department. You have the ability. While I'm always responsible to the city council, of the elected officials, I'm responsible to the city council and to the citizens of Oceanside.
So if the council is wanting to do something that isn't quite copacetic, as they used to say back where I come from, you can jerk and say, wait a minute.
I have a little bit more ability to do that. They never have. They're a great group of people, and they're good to work with. Mm-hmm. But you just have a little bit more say-so.
Now, you've been involved, and is there any organization in town that you have not been involved in? Because now you've been in the Humane Society, the Historical Society, the Chamber of Commerce.
I'm in the Chamber, and I never went into, and of course, Business and Professional Civitan.
Seroptimus?
No, I never went into Seroptimus. I really didn't.
Well, that's because they won't let any men in that group.
Yeah, exactly. So I went for the Rotary.
Yeah, okay.
That was a mixed bag. I love it.
I was going to say, this is you have been involved in a lot of things. And any time that there's an activity of any kind sponsored by almost any group, you and Barbara are probably going to be there.
Yeah, we try. Yeah.
Do you ever stay at home?
Yes, I do. And I treasure those moments. When I close the door, no makeup, don't get the car out of the garage, and scuff around, do my thing at home.
So now you just got reelected about a year ago.
Yeah,
2
I've
years
got
ago.
three more years to go in December.
So what's going to happen then?
I don't know. We'll see what the next 3 years bring in.
We've got a picture of you in the
parade.
Yeah, the parade. You and Barbara are always on that on that parade, and that was in about what, 1997?
Oh, I don't know what year it was. I know that we weren't in the Freedom Days one this year, but we are planning on being in the Christmas one.
Yeah, no, this was recently. That 1997 was when you got your certificate, and then we've got let's see, this picture you got here. This is when you work with Hospice of North Coast.
Yes, I've been actively in there. I've been their treasurer for a number of years. I've been their president, and right now I'm past president.
Well, I know they do a lot of good work.
Yes, they do. It's been in fact, my father, when he passed away, they helped my mother get through all that. A little bit before, they took care of him about a week before and during that time.
You know, if you had to choose, I mean, you're involved in so many organizations in town. Which is your favorite?
Well, right now, San Luis Rotary is. It's my favorite, and are you president this year? Yeah.
Oh well, you better say that. Well, I know.
I love them all. I mean, there's just some. This whole town is full of some of the neatest people that God created, and they're just wonderful.
I've been involved in a lot of groups over the years in many different towns, but I've never known a town that is more giving than Oceanside.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place to be.
It's I mean, everybody is so so forthright and giving. Which brings up another group that I know that you've always supported. I see this picture of you and Chubby Checkers at the Seagaze concert. Now, you've been involved in the Seagaze for years too.
No,
but
not
I mean,
really.
I
supported them by going to the concerts.
But you've been a Crest Club member, haven't you?
No, I haven't. I never was. No.
Well,
Sorry to disappoint you.
You should have gotten your old buddy Lynn Gardner to.
He never was around when I wanted to borrow the money.
What is on the horizon for? I mean, as far as the city is concerned, we've been doing a lot of things downtown and with the Manchester project. Do you think the Manchester project are we going to be able to get that thing through?
I hope so.
It's just a matter of course, we look like we're facing some tough times, but they say that everything is still on track.
Yeah, that's what they maintain, and I'm sure those people have an awful lot of money already invested in that project themselves, and I don't think they're going to have some awful good reasons for dumping it.
Well, I know the downtown area is certainly changed a lot with I wrote a column here not too long ago about the downtown area becoming a theater district with both the movie theaters and we've got Sunshine Brook almost done. It's a nice little community theater, and now we're in the process of renovating the Star Theater. So that
and you have a production coming up here,
yes,
don't
I do.
you?
Yeah,
next weekend is it next weekend?
By the time this airs, it'll be too late to buy a ticket. But I would hope that I'll see you and Barbara there.
To be there.
Oh, good, because we're doing it as a fundraiser for the theater.
That's a beautiful theater. Seating is just
you're going to be surprised when you see it now because the theater was 900 and some seats.
Yeah.
They've taken out about 400 seats.
They have.
But they built the stage out. It's going to be one of the largest stages in the area. And I think that Oceanside's got to have a performing arts center that they can
I
really be
hope
proud
so.
of.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Great.
And,
I always admired Vista and Moonlight Theater and all those, and if we can do the same here in town, and I don't see why we can't.
well, I think that's why I'm hoping people turn out for this fundraiser we're doing with Winston and FDR, because that'll be the first production on the new stage and everything.
Well, good.
So,
well, we'll get out there and support you.
So anyway, with God willing, you're going to do this next 3 years, and then you're planning on running for re-election?
Well, it hasn't left my mind.
Well, Rosemary, we thank you for coming in and sharing your life with us, and we wish you many, many more happy and productive years at the City of Oceanside as a treasurer. This has been Tom Morrow, and we've been talking with Rosemary Jones, from the treasurer of the Oceanside City, and we hope you've enjoyed this session that we've had with her. Join us again next time on Living Legacies. This program is made possible through the generous underwriting grants of Hatter Williams and Purdy Insurance Services of Oceanside, providing North County with complete insurance needs for more than half a century. The TriQuest Corporation, providing quality office and manufacturing space in Oceanside. And the North County Times, serving all of North County with complete local daily news coverage and internet services.